What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Now, I've done videos comparing these two a few times. I think I did it as recently as last week or a week and a half ago. But after watching last night's performance, it's not a snap judgment. It's not based upon one game. This is a feeling that I've had for quite some time that I wasn't as sure of before. But as this season has progressed, I've slid further and further into doubt with my previous position and more into affirmation of what I feel right now, slowly throughout the season. But last night cemented it for me. I cannot believe at one point in time I put LeBron James ahead of Larry Bird. I can't believe I did that. And to those of you who want me to do my top 75, I'm going to have to wait till after the season. I'm going to have to wait till after the season because there's so much rearranging of my top 10, top 25 I'm gonna have to do because a lot of it has come, and I'm not immune to it. None of us are immune to the influence of the media. But the more that I listen to independent voices, the more I listen to educated people on YouTube and on social media, like, look, I like to learn every day too, y'all. I listen. Sometimes we don't do enough of that. I listen to educated people and people who know what they're talking about. The more I listen, the more I'm sorry. This is not a knock on the new age players because there's a lot of great players out there who have potential. Giannis, Ja Morant, Jokic. You know what I'm saying? Luca. If he kind of stops with the bitching and some of the prima donna shit. There are a lot of great players out there, but there's some prima donnas, and there have been some players who we've been praising for years, and we got to really look at these guys' careers the same way that Major League Baseball wants to put an asterisk on certain players. We're gonna have to do the same with some of these guys with their championships. There's no way in hell anybody can convince me that LeBron James is a better basketball player than Larry Bird. Let me repeat that. There is nobody that's going to convince me that LeBron James is a better basketball player than Larry Bird. Now, is he a greater athlete, a better athlete? Absolutely. But the two things are not the same. Now, one can help you in a lot of aspects of the game, but as we have seen with Stromile Swift, and as we've seen with Darius Miles, it takes a lot more than athleticism to make a great player. Edge with athleticism, speed, quickness, LeBron by a mile. There's no comparison. None. Who's the better scorer? Well, by the numbers, I guess you would say LeBron. He has a higher scoring average, 27 points to to Larry Bird's 24.3. But you also have to put this into perspective too. He didn't have the ball in his hands as much as LeBron does. He also had to play with Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. You have to wonder if Larry had the opportunity to have the ball in his hands as much, how many triple doubles would he have had? What would his numbers have looked like? Who was the better shooter? No question. We know who that is, Larry Bird. Bird is in the argument for one of the greatest shooters in the history of the sport. I tell you one thing, in that game against the Warriors where LeBron was, trying to duck the smoke and not shoot those free throws and he fucked them up. If that was Bird, he would have gladly went to the line. Bird was an 88.6% career free throw shooter. I believe I saw a stat that showed in the fourth quarter, Bird's free throw percentage was well into the 90s as far as percentage in his career. Hell, Bird probably would have could have at least converted a 4-point play. Bird was the better rebounder. Bird was the better playmaker. Yeah, raw numbers give LeBron an edge when it comes to uh, actual assists, but we have to also remember that Dennis Johnson was on that team, and it wasn't Bird bringing up the ball all the damn time. You know what I'm saying? The ball wasn't in Larry Bird's hands 85% of the time. Defense, neither one of these guys were fucking lockdown defenders, but Bird was a better help defender. Bird had a higher basketball IQ. Bird was more clutch. Bird was the better leader. Bird had better habits. You damn sure better believe that if you play on a team with Larry Bird, you're gonna work hard. You're gonna fucking practice. You're gonna work out. Bird had better intangibles. And Bird also didn't embellish injuries for, flattery throughout the media. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, you look at his injuries. I'm not saying LeBron hasn't had some injuries. He has. Um, but Larry Bird probably had the greatest pain threshold, along with Kobe Bryant, that we've seen of anybody in the history of the game. I think people really gotta remember what Larry Bird went through. He first hurt his back. I think it was back in 1984, 85, when he was shoveling his mother's walkway. He could have hired somebody to do it. He did it for himself. He did it himself. Hurt his fucking back. Played at a high level for a couple of years until his back started bothering him a little bit. Then he had bone spurs, which is extremely painful. Started bothering him in 87, 88. By the time of the playoffs against the Pistons, he was limping around. It was hurting his mobility. He had the bone spurs removed from his foot. It took him an entire season to come back from that surgery. Because as we know, anything dealing with your feet, it takes a long time to heal because of the lack of blood flow down there. He came back in 90. By that time, his back was really bothering him. He was contemplating retirement. But he went and played 2 more years with actual fucking bones that would get misaligned in his spine. He would have to have a chiropractor or a back specialist push the bones in his back into alignment so that he'd be able to play basketball in a 6 hour window. He would do this every fucking game. And then when he's out the game, you might remember he was always laying down on his back trying to stretch his back out. And he did this for 2 fucking years until he couldn't take the pain anymore. He did it for 2 fucking years. He wasn't going to the media complaining about his back every fucking every day and trying to get glory points. He did what he had to do to help his team and for the dream of one day playing one more time against Magic in the final. That's what you call competitive spirit. Now I'm gonna tell you something else too. When Larry Bird joined the Boston Celtics, they were a shambles. They only won 29 games the year he got before he got there. His first year there, they won 61 games. At the time, that was a record turnaround. And people like to say he played with a super team. Well, let's not forget that Kevin McHale, who didn't come until 80, he came off the bench for the first 4 or 5 years of his career. And Robert Parrish was traded in 80 because the Golden State Warriors at the time said that, well, we don't really need Parrish. We're about to get Joe Barry Carroll. Joe Barry Carroll was projected to be a perennial all-star. He had the talent. When he was actually motivated, he could play like he was a great player when he was actually motivated to play, but he wasn't motivated, which is why he had the derisive nickname Joe Barely Cares. So let's not act like Bird went to a super team. Red Auerbach just had an eye for talent. LeBron colluded to join forces with great players, and he went to twice as many finals as Bird to get one more ring. And in one of those rings, one of those championships, he snitched on a player so that he would be suspended so he could have a competitive advantage with the help of a supposedly objective reporter and Brian Windhorst. But anyway, when Larry Bird left the Boston Celtics, they fell apart. This white guy that was slow and can't jump. But somehow when he left, they fell apart. They went from being a really good team to a team that got eliminated by the Charlotte Hornets in the first round to being a terrible team for the rest of the night. I'm sorry, but I gotta go with Larry Bird. Yeah, LeBron's gonna have all of those records and numbers and stats at the end of the day. But when you ask me who is the better basketball player, who would I rather have, at the end of the game, hitting a clutch shot? Who is the guy that's gonna be all about winning and will do whatever it takes to win as a basketball player? Not cheating the game, not cheating the fans, playing hard throughout the game, but not just playing hard, but playing smart basketball, beautiful basketball, regardless of race and all that bullshit. I'm taking Larry fucking Bird. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I'm taking fucking Larry Bird over LeBron James. I'm sorry. I tried to give LeBron his props, man, but I just can't, I don't I, what I'm seeing this year is disgusting. And I'm gonna get on Stephen A. Smith ass too. The Laker fans don't owe him nothing. They have a right to boo for this bullshit they've been enduring this whole year. But I'm gonna get on his ass later on. Tell me what you guys think.